This is the Redondo Beach logo refresh project. I am Jordan Small. My business is Style and Design. I'm a South Bay native and I'm also a brand designer. So what exactly is brand, right? So I love to use this analogy of a human. So if you were to design a human, you'd start with their brain, how they think, all that good stuff. Our face is like our logo, and then our brand identity is kind of how we style ourselves and how we dress, that good stuff. Now, face by itself, imagine here, you're seeing just my face, no glasses, no hair, no makeup, is boring, right? But you're able to say, hey, that's Jordis, but you know nothing else about me. So let's do a quick test here. I've got two attorneys. Which one are you going to trust more to keep you out of jail? Probably the one on the right, right? But did you notice? They each had the same logo and the same name. That is the brand. You knew which one you'd trust more to keep you out of jail, and that's pretty big, right? So what exactly is a logo? It's an identifying mark of your tribe. A logo's identification, the brand is communication. So a logo does not need to tell you a story. It just needs to identify. Now, what makes a good logo? I like to focus on 4 key factors. First, visibility, then memorability, appropriateness, and it must work as a system. So when I say visibility, I'm mostly talking about scalability. Can it be seen when it's big, when it's small? What about color too, right? Now, memorability. Here's 3 of my favorite logos, and if you notice, these are super simple shapes. That's because simplicity equals memorability. Now, a good logo must work as a system. So here's Starbucks, for example. We've all held this cup of coffee and seen their siren mark. It is very rare you're going to see the siren on the side of a Starbucks location. They usually use this word mark. So I have these 4 shapes, and a logo system means you have a variation of your logo that will fill each of these shapes. And now let's go to my process. So through my design process, I like to say that I drive the car, but the clients tell me where to go. They don't know their way at first, they're kind of unsure, but through a series of workshops, we're going to find our way together. Now, this was a very unique process. In working with the city, instead of one client, we had a volunteer committee of 5 different people, one to represent each of the districts. I drove the bus, they told me where to go, and I made sure we stayed on the road. So here's my wonderful committee. And it wasn't just the 6 of us either. We actually reached out for community input along the way. Think of this as us hollering out the window for directions. So we start the process with phase 1, which is the discovery. And this is honestly the most important phase of the project. This is where we ask, why do this? Let's review what problem needs to be solved first. The committee came up with to modernize the city, set the tone for the city as a seaside community, but stand out amongst other local beach cities. I said, what will make this project a success? What's our goal? They said to show the community we're a city moving forward with willingness to change and keep up with the times and showcase that we're a prideful city that cares. So here's some findings from that first survey we did. We learned that simple and memorable was very important when it came to a logo, and most connected with active health conscious brands, and the beach lifestyle was important. So we also do this practice of putting together a word list, and here's some of those words that everyone thinks of when you think of Redondo Beach. We did an audit of this current logo. We realized that it's not very visible, meaning it's not simple or scalable. Here you see it at small scale. The spacing on the word beach is really hard to read, and it was not memorable. So a lot of folks actually said, I didn't know what the city logo was. A lot of people thought it was this city street sign. Now, the design relies too much on color. Here it's in 2 color. It's not reading the same. And it gets even worse when it's in a 1 color. A lot of people just saw a series of geometric shapes. Some people saw a rifle. Absolutely no one saw a pier on the water anymore. Now it's appropriate. So it's got 5 gold stars. The concept of this logo works for our city. It failed a little bit with the appropriateness when it came to the colors, though. These colors were not reflective of our city. In fact, the primary colors are really associated with education and children, and red and yellow together are known as hungry colors, and they often accent with blue. Now, it's a little weak when working as a logo system. So here you can see our circles, hurting, and we're really missing that long horizontal logo altogether. And I checked out some logos marks around the city. I found 7 different marks and 4 different word marks, and that's just what I found. So I said, now that we know what's going on, we put together a to-do list, basically. And we went and looked at other cities who have gone through the rebrand process. We did an audit of coastal communities. We did a mood board for our project. We did 2 brand references as well as logo style references before we started. Everyone on the committee really liked this light beachy look. So I said, okay, I feel like we can move forward to design, right? I start all of my designs with pencil and paper, and then I move to the computer where I make a mess. And here you can see I pulled out all my marks that I thought had legs on the left, and on the right are all the ones that the committee felt connected to. We narrowed it to 4, and I was kind of like, gee, okay, sailboats. Going back to that audit of the city, boats are a really common theme throughout our city. So I felt really good that all 4 marks of ours actually had a boat in it, because we were trying things like dolphins and waves, but we landed here. And we started pairing those marks with the word mark portion of the logo. We kind of came up with 4 that we liked working together, and we started testing them on t-shirt graphics, keychains, city hats, all that fun stuff. I felt like good for this light beachy look, but then I was like, this also needs to work in really professional applications like public parking signs, city street signs, even a police officer's patch. So we need to make sure we're taking both into account. So we ended up narrowing it down to 6 different typefaces that we liked, and through this we narrowed it a little bit more to 3. So we had 3 marks, 3 typefaces, and 3 type layouts. We put all of these to a communal vote, and what was really cool was they each won by 43% or more. So here you have our mark and our word mark. We started testing it and seeing how it worked. We dropped it in with some color. We built it out as a logo system and then tested that logo system. We tested it as a 1 color against the current logo. We did a city street sign, police officer's patch. And this was something that was cool, was once we realized that we could just change the color in the mark and create different variations of the logo for each of the respective departments. This could come in handy in, say, the website, for instance. It's a very big website and currently a little hard to navigate. But if that logo just changed ever so slightly when you were on police or fire pages, it would make navigation a lot easier. So now for that light beachy look, I actually went through and did an alternate version that's got a little bit of a hand-drawn feel to it. And I dropped in some color, and I did a play on the city seal with that roping going around it. So that brings us to the expansion phase, and this is where we'll actually finalize the logo, fonts, colors, and then start building it out in things like business cards, hats, city swag, all that fun stuff. And phase 4 is the document phase, and this is where I kind of say, thank you, committee, I got it, and I'll put together a brand guide, which will ensure that the brand stays intact and everything is used consistently throughout the city. So why does consistency in a brand or a city's brand matter? Consistency builds trust. Here's an example. Heaven forbid you're getting pulled over, it's late night, maybe I've watched too much Dateline and Law & Order, but I will tell you, if I'm getting pulled over late night in a city I'm unfamiliar with, it'll at least make me feel a little bit better if I can see that the markings on the city street signs match the markings on the police officer's patch. That's going to help build that connection for me. We currently have this going on. We've got a lot of different marks being used. Imagine if they all looked the same. It's a lot stronger. Rolling out a new logo is necessary. You've got signage, uniform, websites, and print, but it doesn't happen overnight. This happens over time, and you'll see the benefit. Trust is a must when it comes to a city and its departments. So what's so great about this new logo? Timelessness. The simple shape and concept lends itself to the history of Redondo, present day, and the future. The silhouette of the sail will not go out of date, even if we don't know what sailboats look like in the future. So here's Apple. You can see in 1976 they got it wrong, but by 1977 they got it right, and that logo mark is still their logo mark today. Now there's a thing called VR out there, speaking of timelessness, and I don't know a whole ton about it, but I can tell you there's pretty good odds the logo's going to have to work in 3D one day, and this logo allows us to do that. So here's Bell Phone Systems. You can see the concept of their logos never changed, but that logo mark that they have in 1969 can sit on the same playing field with the logo mark presented here today, and that speaks to the timelessness factor. Now, simplicity. Here you have a snapshot of Shell, who's had to simplify over years. And currently we have this going on, right? So why is this happening? Because this isn't working. It's not simple. It's not scalable. It doesn't read well in one color. That simplicity factor is gone there. So imagine the alternative. Simple is versatile and adaptable. A simple shape, you can kind of drop pictures in, textures, lots of fun stuff. It can kind of just become an element of the branding. And I know you're probably thinking, it's so simple, it looks like clip art. I'm going to beg to differ because here's clip art. But even so, it doesn't matter. If it works in all these applications, this is a phenomenal way to go. If it works on a trash can too, that's pretty good, right? Now, scalability. Looks good big, looks good small. Here I was driving and I saw a city truck with the city seal on it. And I can tell you, from a distance, no one's going to be able to make out what that seal is. However, I dropped in the new logo, proposed logo, and you can see the benefits there. It doesn't rely on color. Here you have the color logo being dropped on a color picture in the Parks and Rec catalog. Blue on blue is hard to see, whereas the alternative, we have a one color variation that works well. Appropriateness. Remember the concept of the sail is true to Redondo. It fits the vibe of the city and the community. It pays homage to our history, and it feels relevant in 2023 and beyond. So here's my own little snapshot of our logo evolution. And also with appropriateness, we were able to get something that works in a light and beachy application, as well as a very distinguished professional application like a firefighter's patches. It works as a system. Here you see, we tested it working as a system. So then we asked, did we accomplish what we set out to do? We've got timeless, visible and scalable, simple and memorable, appropriate, works as a system, works in one color, modernizes the city, beachy yet distinguished, and it stands out amongst other local beach cities. Questions, comments, concerns? I'm an open book. Please comment below. I'm happy to address